welcome to the very first episode of Elephant in the Room, our new podcast where we're going to be discussing an elephant in the room, and we're going to just be having a dialogue about something that is concerning our community or just the world in general.
We're very excited to launch this podcast on behalf of the SDC, and today we're going to be talking about the specialized high school admissions process and the equity politics behind it.
Yeah, so my name is Lily.
And my name is Evan.
Let's get right into it. I definitely think, from my personal experience, I think this goes for everyone, regardless of, your race, gender, ethnicity, whatever. It's obviously a very, very, it's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone kind of has their own feelings about it, but I do think, for a lot of kids, especially, I don't know, maybe this could have just been my school, but, a lot of kids either were just didn't care at all, or they were, it seemed like I'm not, walking through this.
I see that with my brother today. Actually, he just took the SAT.
Oh, wow!
Yeah.
Wait, was it online?
No, it wasn't.
But next year they're actually making it online. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, and the equity behind that as well. But because I was just reading an article on that. But I noticed with him and his classmates, like you said, they're either really focused on taking the test. They're spending 3 hours a day. I know some kids got tutors, their parents got tutors. Just in the name of getting into one of these schools. And then you had kids who didn't really know what the SDC was, but they found out late. And then when they found out, they were like, oh, is it too late to start studying?
Yeah, no.
And I think that plays a factor as to which communities kids, I guess, take the SHSAT. I know, especially in the Bronx or other boroughs or communities or neighborhoods, it's not as known as other neighborhoods. I know some schools have tutoring that their school offers. Not all schools have that, and I think that's one thing to consider with the admissions process and the equity behind that. Some schools have the resources to prep their kids for the test, some schools don't. Some kids just also mentally can't take the pressure, I feel.
Yeah, no, I was freaked out when I was taking mine. But I think, there's just such an immense amount of pressure, this idea that you have to do all these tests because that's what everyone's kind of striving toward. And that can be really hard. I also want to talk about, remember the DREAM program?
I've done this stuff. Wait,
yeah, me too. Yeah. So the DREAM, is it based on merit?
I think it is. I think it's based on I'm not sure if it's state test score or GPA, but I think there's a criteria.
Right. So for those who don't know, the DREAM program is this SDC prep program that you take the summer before the 8th grade, and you get in based on test scoring. I'm about to look that up right now.
Yeah.
And you basically, it's just this program where every day you go to a school and you SDC prep. And I remember we were young, so my mom was doing the research for me. And I remember what you mostly heard about it was it really just depends on who your teacher is. It varied so much, and this was the purpose of the DREAM program was to be an opportunity for kids who may not be able to afford a tutor or a tutoring program to get some kind of help or to get to prep a little bit. But I think just because it's just so underfunded and under-resourced, it became this thing where it just sort of so heavily relied on who you got as your teacher, which is obviously an issue, right? Kids who can afford tutors are getting this almost guarantee that you're going to get a good teacher because they're your tutor. And a good teacher means most of the time a higher test score, but these kids were just really rolling the dice. And I remember I had a ton of friends who enrolled in the DREAM program, Mm-hmm. Another thing, it was also based on test scores, right?
Yeah, it's based on your state test, ELA and math. You had to score 3.25 above the ELA one and then 331 above the math. On the math.
So if it's based on test scores, you're already putting kids that are good test takers, that have the resources to be good test takers, on a pedestal. So this was it was supposed to be a solution to equity, the equity issues of the whole process. But then we could kind of fall into that trap again of it becoming and being about what you're scoring already. And obviously, you can get good scores no matter what. You can be a super genius who is disadvantaged, or you could be a kid who just doesn't do well on tests and is in the perfect situation to do well on tests. But I think for so many people, you do well because you have the resources to do well. So it kind of just fell into that same trap that we saw in the first place, Mm-hmm. And then you're already putting those kids at risk by making it kind of risky for a lot of people. So it's another thing to think about.
Mm-hmm. I want to add that the DREAM program seems to specifically target those who are low income and disadvantaged.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I'm reading now, it says students must also live and attend a school in like certain districts, but some districts are omitted. Or they must attend a school, if they live in a district that's not listed, they must attend a school that has an economic needs index above 63%. And then also like, if that they don't meet that, they have to like meet federal guidelines for income. I think that's a unique way to like kind of, I guess, get more kids from disadvantaged backgrounds and neighborhoods, but I don't necessarily think it's enough because you're not really telling them what the SHSAT even is. I feel like the issue is people see this email that, oh, their child got accepted into this program, but like what is it even? Like what is like I feel like education, I feel like the best way to break barriers into coming into specialized high schools down in general is to one, also just provide more equitable like tutoring. Like I know that this is a great way to do it, I just don't think people know about it enough, and I don't feel like because certain communities don't know about the SHSAT, this is like simply sending them emails not enough about the dream program. Like if I saw that email, I think when my mom got it for me, she was like, well, what is this? And I didn't know what it is either, so I didn't know the dream program. I didn't know like what it's no. If I had known, I feel like even what the SHSAT is, because I kind of, my decision to take it was spontaneous. I didn't really study for it or anything. I also took it in 9th grade. So I transferred here. Nonetheless, like it's still pretty much the same process. I think that more education about the SHSAT would be better in regards to like making the school more accessible as well. I know, because this is like off topic, but I do work with like the New York City Commission on Human Rights, right? And we were talking about like ways to like kind of push certain, because obviously communities are omitted from specialized high schools. Like some communities there's like a low representation of them. So we're thinking about ways to like kind of drive, I guess, more integration or more people like from those communities applying to specialized high schools. And we realized that a lot of people didn't even know the test until 8th grade. Like, and I don't feel like that's sufficient time to study.
You know, you get like a little dream acceptance letter like at the end of 7th grade.
Yeah.
That's when you're supposed to start studying. And so many people just like joke no nonsense. I remember, okay, this was actually for the high school admissions process in general, but I remember the date, the night before it was due. My middle school had a really low population of kids, so like there were just people like being like, oh, like crap, like I have to figure out, like a bunch of kids in general really were just like, I have to figure out how to submit this application. And so many kids are children of immigrants, especially here in the Bronx. Like we don't have the highest Bronx population in Bronx side, which is kind of crazy. But so many kids were like children of immigrants learning English themselves. They don't really know how to navigate the high school admissions process, right? And especially the SSAT, figuring out how to like get yourself prepped, especially when you're a low-income child of immigrants or like learning language is so hard. And it just like I remember kids like scrambling to like get this like application in to like start to figure out how to sign up for the SAT. And it's like you are just put evidence in these like position. And these are kids who maybe have like are already in undergraduate school, so they don't have a guidance department, good guidance department, or someone who's there to help them navigate this like crazy application. Because the applications are like really daunting, especially when you consider that this is like a 12-year-old doing all this.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because like I said, my brother's applying this year, and I've noticed that like New York City's high school admission process in general, just for like forget the SHSAT, I'm talking about like the whole high school admissions process in general. I feel like one is very scary, and two is very like serious in comparison to other states. Like
other
this
states
year,
is just zoning, right?
Yeah.
I think Boston has a similar structure.
Yeah.
But sometimes
it's just so it's like going to the school that's closest to you.
Yeah, no.
Like my brother was applying this year, like I said, and what I noticed is that so many of the schools that he was applying to required some like either an admissions test like BARD, like in addition, and then a video or like an essay or like another like admissions like activity, and I'm just like, and I was like, my mom was like, why are you doing all this while you're applying to college?
College, this is high school. It's crazy. No.
But yeah, I feel like that also just adds to like the pressure, like because then you have that, like not even regular admissions are like guaranteed for some people. So I guess like maybe that's why certain people really go like ham with the SHSAT because they know like if they just score good on this one test, if they memorize the topics on it, if they master them, they're almost guaranteed admission, I guess. Because like the lottery system is very daunting.
Yeah, no, and that was supposed to be like a solution to lottery system. I know there was like a lot for the general admissions. There was DEI too, so they were like allotting these slots for kids for like diversity and like equity and inclusion. That's what it stands for. But I remember like there was a lot of talk of that, and so that was like during when I was applying, which was a couple years ago. But now they're introducing something new this year actually called Manhattan. Well, it's basically just Manhattan priority. So for all those general admission schools where like Manhattan kids, I'm sorry, that are in Manhattan, I think it's like 12 in the school actually, are basically giving priority to the kids who live in Manhattan. And this was because of I don't want to say they were all elite, but yeah, it was coming from the elite, like Manhattan parents who want their kids to go to these schools. And it just creates this like, they were trying to solve the issue with DEI programs last year, and it's just like ushering in all of these new issues, which is a real problem, right? It gives all these elite, like as if they don't have enough like leg up, it just like gives them another step up, all these elite Manhattan kids. And there's no like Bronx priority for Bronx science, even though it doesn't have anything to do with the SAT, they're just doing it for these kids, and it's just so explicit and it's so like clear what they're trying to do and giving these kids. Like it's not even like under the guise of like more diversity. It's just like elite right there.
It's funny that you mentioned that because before I transferred here, I went to Illinois as well. And before my year, or maybe like I'm not sure if it was my year was the first one who did the DEI, because before it was also Manhattan priority. Right. Look at the older classes. It was like majority white from the Upper East Side. They all lived within like 15 minutes of each other. And I feel like our last two classes were pretty diverse. So that's the freshman class. The freshman class and the sophomore class. Pretty diverse in comparison to the juniors and seniors. But you got a lot of complaints from parents. And actually this year, I found out that returned to the Manhattan priority. I just think that's really interesting. Yeah, and you're right that I feel like this might be a controversial take, but like it does honestly give
it gives the elite like
because
more privilege.
Because in this case, if you look at the Upper East Side and like generally in like terms of income, like cost of living, people who could afford to live there they're doing well. Exactly, they have the resources to support their children educationally. And so this is school, but why not open that to kids whose parents might not have those resources from different communities, you know? So yeah, I wanted to add on to that point that year.
And there aren't a lot of like good gen ed schools in the Bronx. And I guess there's some in Queens, like towns and everything in Brooklyn, you know? And so it just like makes it just like exacerbates the situation really in time. But yeah, I mean, looking forward, what we may want to do in the future, I think the DEI program that there was for gen ed schools was pretty good. I feel like they were like especially holding these slots for diversity and for lower income kids, which I think was good. But there's nothing like that for the SAT.
For the SAT,
I guess like the DREAM program was supposed to give that, but that also kind of like dug another hole for themselves and made the whole like merit thing. But I guess to an extent it's about like giving the kids with the highest scores like the best chance. But I don't know. I think having more like within the school itself, having more SAT program like within like for kids, like maybe an after school program, like for kids who want to do it, they can do it in their school for free. It's learning, and it's something that the parents are going to know about because it's in the school and the kids are going to know about. I feel like that would be a good solution. Making sure there are like almost like mandates or like standards for these tutors to be would also be really good. Just make sure everyone's equal.
I also feel like just telling parents, like informing parents about the high school admissions process, not right before the end of seventh grade.
Education is so important.
Exactly, because I feel like one of the New York City admissions process is already very like complicated to navigate. So when you dump all of that information on them at like the very like last second, they're really not going to. And think about all those kids who didn't qualify for DREAM but still wanted to take the SDC. They probably wouldn't have found out about it until like the start of 8th grade, and at that point it's like very late. It's not very late. I mean, you could still study, but like
it's a lot to cover.
Exactly, it's a lot to cover. I think just generally telling parents, and maybe the DOE emailing parents more often about like the high school admissions process.
In multiple languages.
Exactly, multiple languages too, because
I don't know if everybody's doing that, but I don't remember like.
yeah, I don't recall either.
recall.
But I feel like just in general, educating more students and their parents about the SJT, the benefits and drawbacks, because there are drawbacks.
There are
to going
drawbacks.
to
You know, you need to
specialized
do
high
research
school.
about these schools.
Exactly. So just informing them more about the high school admissions process before they actually have to like partake in it,
Yeah, no.
so that they know what to do and how to navigate it once that time comes, would be one of the most like effective steps at making just the test more equitable in general. And in regards to like students come like the schools like student tutoring systems, like you mentioned, I feel like if there was more funding for those types of things in schools, that would be really good as well, because then like kids don't have to parents don't have to like dig into their pocket to like
Yeah, no, to like figure out how to do your kids.
exactly. And I already see it, some schools have that, but that's because they have the funds to do so. And I feel like that highlights the disparities between like certain schools, like and like the disadvantages one might face if they go to a school with a relatively like low economic index or whatever.
Which is an issue in itself. Like
Exactly.
disparities among schools.
Exactly. So also addressing those financially
Yeah.
would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great episode. Let us know what you guys think, and we will see you for the next episode of Elephant in the Room. Yeah.